Hey guys, so it's our last lesson for the year. We made it. I'm so sad that I don't get to see you guys again, and I hope you all have good high school experiences, and hopefully I can still see you around and about or talk to your younger siblings and keep up with how you guys are doing. But the last lesson is what we've been building up to this whole time. So we're going to do factoring quadratics when your first term, the x squared term, has a coefficient greater than 1. So how you'll do this is you're going to multiply your a and c terms, so meaning the coefficient of your x squared term and the constant. You're going to multiply those together. Then you will find the factors of AC. Now, if you remember when we factored when A was 1, we found the factors of C that added to give us B. Now you're just finding the factors of A and C multiplied together that are going to add to give you B. Okay, so it's still very similar to what we did before. It's just you have to multiply A and C together first. You're not just finding factors of C by itself. Make sure, like we did before, make sure you're watching for your negatives. That will change things. Once you do that, you're going to break up the bx term, this middle term. You're going to break that into 2 different factors. So then you'll have 4 terms total. From that point, it's going to look just like what we did last week. And then you'll do factor by grouping just like we did last week. Okay, so I'll show you this with some examples. We have 4 examples. So our first one is 2p squared plus 9p plus 9. So my first step says to multiply a and c. All right, that gives me 18. I need to find factors of 18 that add to give me positive 9. Since I know that I want to find factors that add to give me positive 9, I'm only going to look at positive factors of 18, right? Because negative factors aren't going to give me positive 9. So my positive factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 times 6. 1 times 18, 2 times 9, or 3 times 6. And then I have to think which one of those groups adds to give me 9. Well, 3 plus 6 gives me 9, and 3 times 6 gives me 18. So now watch what I do here. I'm going to rewrite. So I have 2p squared. I'm going to take this 9p and I'm going to break it up into 3p and 6p. And then I still have my plus 9. So that stays, that stays. My 9p goes into 3p plus 6p, right? Which is still 9p. I didn't change anything. This is still the exact same problem. 3p plus 6p is still 9p. From here, it's just like what we did last week. So I need to find what do my first 2 terms have in common. Let me pick a different color. What do my first 2 terms have in common? The only thing I can factor out of both of those is p. So when I factor p out of those, this just becomes 2p, and this becomes 3. Right? And then I look at my second 2 terms. What can I factor out of those? Well, I can divide those both by 3. So when I divide that by 3, I get 2p. When I divide that by 3, I get 3. Just like last week, these must be the same, which they are. And then, I don't know what other color use. I'll just use that. And then these outside terms give me my other factor. And that is how you factor quadratics from start to end. Okay? 3 more. So again, I'm going to multiply a times c. 9 times negative 4. That gives me negative 36. I'm trying to find factors of negative 36 that add to give me negative 16. Okay, so my factors of negative 36. Now, if I want them to add to give me negative 16, that means that the bigger number has to be negative, right? Because when you add, keep the sign of the bigger number. So my factors could be 1 times negative 36. I could have 2 times negative 18, 3 times negative 12, or 4 times negative 9. Okay, looking at those, the two that add to give me negative 16 are 2 and negative 18. So same thing, I'm going to break that middle term up. So I still have 9p squared, and I still have minus 4. Those don't change. My negative 16p now becomes plus 2p and minus 18p. Okay? And by the way, it doesn't matter which order. I could have put negative 18p plus 2p. It doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer at the end. Looking at these two, the only thing I can factor out is the p. So divide that by p, I get 9p. Divide that by p, I just get 2. Now, looking at my second one, I know that I want to have 9p plus 2 on the inside. So that, therefore, I have to factor out that negative, so my inside will be positive. So I'm going to factor out a negative 2. I can divide those both by 2. So that divided by negative 2 is going to give me 9p. That divided by negative 2 is going to give me positive 2. 9p plus 2 is the same on the inside of both of them. And then I have p minus 2 for my other factor. Right, halfway. Okay, so for this one, again, I'm still going to multiply 3 times 8. Multiply your first term and your last term, which gives me 24. Factors of 24 that add to give me negative 25. If I want it to be negative, I need to find factors of a positive. That means both factors have to be either positive or negative. Well, if I want them to add to be negative, they're both going to have to be negative. So I have negative 1 times negative 24, negative 2 times negative 12, negative 3 times negative 8, or negative 4 times negative 6. Okay, so the two factors that add to give me negative 25 are negative 1 and negative 24. They multiply to give me positive 24, but they add to give me negative 25. I keep 3j squared, and I keep plus 8. I break that term up into two terms. So I'm going to break it up into negative 24j and negative 1j. So what can I divide both of those by? I can divide them both by 3j. So when I divide that by 3j, I just left with j. Keep the minus. When I divide that by 3j, I just get 8. Right when I look over here, I should notice that this is already j and 8, however the signs are opposite. So that means I need to factor out a negative. So that's going to make that positive j, and that's going to make this negative 8. Right, now that these are the same, my first factor is j minus 8, and my second factor is 3j minus 1. One more. Alright, so I'm going to multiply 8 and negative 6 to give me negative 48. Factors of a negative have to be one positive and one negative. I want them to add to give me a positive, so the bigger number must be positive. So I have negative 1 and 48. I have negative 2 and 24. I have negative 3 and 16. Okay, negative 3 plus 16 is going to give me 13. So I have 8v squared minus 6. And then I can break these up into 16v and minus 3v. Getting that from here. Okay. So now, in first terms, I can divide those both by 8v. So that's just left with v. And I divide that by 8v, I'm just left with 2. I can divide both of these by a negative 3. So dividing that by negative 3, I just get v. Divide that by negative 3, I get 2. Put it together. Those are the same. And then use your coefficients, 8v minus 3. All right, so good luck. I will put the problems on there and you guys can kind of work ahead and then we will go from there. So awesome job this year and good luck.